to,
All right, hang on.
I got two
Mike, talk to
roads
you.
down at Mud Road, you know where Mud Road is? And Mandela Road. Two worst roads in the county. Ain't no hope for Mud Road.
I'm not real sure.
Anyway, the old people, and right in the middle of that is state owned, see? If they wanna shut us down, we could. Cause there was the
Yeah.
other end that.
yeah, that comes up, yeah.
What for, and on this end don't either.
That goes up
It's just
there.
not linked to the.
There's a house right across from that cemetery. Going past Lost Beach, they're up on that hill up there, there's one house up there. There used to be, I don't think they, in the last 5 years, they put anything in there.
Anyway, if they wanna kill that road, we don't need to maintain that road.
That's
You
not,
can't.
that's gravel, so.
There's gonna be six
Yeah,
creek crossings on that road.
There's two, you go through the creeks on two.
On that Mud Road.
On Mud Road,
Yeah, Mud Road.
Yeah.
I've been through there 2 or 3 times, yeah.
It ain't worth saving.
Well,
Nobody goes through there anyway.
well, there's a lot of
Just the
people.
state goes in
Yeah,
there.
it's working, Mike,
Drug
it's just
dealers,
not
I
tied
believe,
together.
Drug dealers, yeah.
because you can't get any service in there, you can't
We'll
get
just do the audio when you can get back out here and take a look at it.
their radios and their, yeah, or iPhones won't work in there either. That's the dead zone.
Out there at Vandilla Road, or that whole
Yeah, just when I get a chance to take a look.
people go down in there and they, later on, it's worse, they're gonna get hung up in a flood.
Well, they already have.
And somebody drowned down in there.
Here's the address for that person that owns all that property.
Okay, I think I'll give it to him. Here's the information she got from that.
Oh, okay. I'll give it to Jim before we get out, before the end of the day.
Not very many on that road anyway, Gary.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll be happy to get it fixed.
Well, what happened, there's no, two houses on the other end, but people drive down in there, and if there come a big flood, they're gonna get hung down there, and somebody could drown.
Yeah, get washed away.
You know?
Exactly.
That creek never gets that high.
All right, folks, it's 9 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get the meeting started. We've got audio this morning. Our visual, for some reason on the new camera, is not linking to the PC. IT's been called, so we'll probably just go with audio for today's meeting. We can start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sam, would you care to lead us, please, in prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, once again, we come before you this morning to give you honor and glory and praise. Say thank you for your love and mercy and grace made new. Thank you for this beautiful weather. Lord, watch over us and guide us, strengthen us, help us come closer together as a community and the county, and lead the commissioners in the way they should go. Please forgive us of our sins and shortcomings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thanks, Sam. All right, first on the agenda is the matter of minutes. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at those?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Have a motion by Bob to approve. Do I have a second by Dale? All in favor? Aye. All right, in the matter of claims, we have 3 separate claim areas. We have payroll at $221,557.50. We have regular claims at $171,726.47, and total of out-of-cycle claims $29,126 and a penny. Those include utilities, COVID clinic, Epic Insurance, the Visa cards, and workforce development. Jim, do you want to touch anything on?
Sure, Commissioner, if I could, so starting kind of oddly on a national level, probably I saw some of the economic indicators that came out. The gross national project for the country went down by over 1%. We also had a couple of things that have occurred as far as indicators. Gasoline, as far as inflation, prices raised roughly about 45%. Food, groceries, basic supplies, a minimum of 15%. So probably any way that you look at that, if that continues, a recession is most likely on the way. So the reason I kind of said that is that that's kind of the background now for Owen County is trying to look at. The numbers for Owen County as we go into May 1st. So the settlement and property taxes are due May 10th, and then the settlement, I believe, is set for the 19th. So I know the Treasurer's Office is probably going to be very busy over the next 2 weeks as far as getting the proper settlement done. As far as the numbers here, they're better than, for Owen, it's better than expected. As of today, in the general fund, there's $828,494.67. That includes 3 payrolls for the month of April. So with the claims docket and the out-of-cycle that is approved today, that's still going to put the claims general balance in the range of about $750, $770 in that range. So I think we can expect after settlement that the general fund will go up to over $1 million. I think that's a very good reason. The couple reasons for that has been a lot of foresight by the commissioners and a lot of foresight by the county council, some things that had to be done. The key things from the commissioner's perspective that makes these numbers possible were 2 of the biggest the charges for the county were the health insurance and the liability workman's comp insurance. The ability to keep the increased rate for the health insurance to 0, and the ability to keep the insurance general liability and workman's comp at 4.4% increase for this entire year, so those are already locked in. And the fact of the general tax revenue that was required, you have every one of your major funds have a positive balance, from highway, EMS, dispatch, sheriff lit, all of those have, and most of those are the 6-figure, they're $100,000 or greater. The other thing that's kind of unique, on January 1st, for the total funds, the amount that the county had in the totality of their fund ledger, about 7 pages. It started out at about 10.4 million was how much is in there, and we ended as April 30th, about $10.4 million. These are dramatic turnarounds from, say, a year ago, 21, 2019. This is a much better financial situation. In April, the total receipts were about 3.2 million. The total spent out was about 2.8 million. So actually, there was a positive balance of $331,000 for the month of April. So I don't have to go through, each one of these. I'm working on that. But if you look here on the claims, all of your claims that if you're so moved to approve, with one exception, the 9149 Community Corrections, that's a grant. That's one of those reimbursable grants, so it's in the red. There's a claim on it, it'd be in the red, but that's reimbursed. But I think realistically, commissioners, I would be expecting to go in June with probably about a 1, but will definitely be over $1 million will be in the general fund after settlement. Don't want to make too much attention with that. So, looking ahead, I think there's 2 ways to interpret that. Everything's great. Let's start spending. Why not? Spend here. That would be the incorrect interpretation. What has occurred is by tremendous hard work by your appointees, the elected officials, all the county employees, direction of commissioners and council, we're in a much better shape to weather what is coming. Now, this would be a perfect time for a bunch of cliches, brace for impact, but really probably severe economic indicators are at least on the horizon. Hopefully they won't happen, but they're there. But Owen County is in a good position right here and it is prepared. I think it's very important to continue this same pattern for the first 5 months, to spend only when it's necessary, stay completely within the appropriations, watch any additional spending, understand we're gonna have fuel issues, we're gonna have basic issues, we're not gonna be able to escape, I mean, the inflationary part of it. But there is a very good chance that because of decisions made in these past 6 months, that we're not here to talk about, we need to start going to the council and consider layoffs, or we need to consider all these cutbacks. We're not in that position. We're not in the position where we're flush and like, let's start passing out $100 bills. But we're clearly in a way where we're set up and ready for this. A couple other things that have been done that I think has been very good. Sheriff's Department, EMS, EMA, highway, as far as equipment purchases, we're able to get those equipment purchases at state bidding or the lowest possible price, and even one of them, I believe, I could be wrong, but I think I remember from the highway, we even got a locked-in price from a year ago. But Owen County's been able to purchase some equipment, and I know there's gonna be some bids here, but getting this equipment and having it ready without this increase in prices and some of the supply chain issues was also a very, very good direction the commissioners made. So we're going into settlement, we're going into a good way. A couple things I keep saying, any opportunity not to spend, don't spend. The more we can keep in the bank, always just keep in mind the June 30th date. That's the kind of the predictor date for DGLF as far as they make projections, particularly for the highway. We want to have good solid balances in all those funds on the June 30th because those are the appropriated. But commissioners, all your claims are being paid out of positive balance funds. I think these are good news, but I think we can go into this kind of cautiously optimistic.
Thank you, Jim. And I agree with Jim, you know, we are looking at some economic issues. We brought this up at the end of last year that it was coming. I think that our departments are doing a good job. Having access to your financials has definitely helped the last year and a half, and we're gonna continue to keep on top of it. With that being said, gentlemen, have any comments?
I have none.
Do I hear a motion to approve regular claims at $171,726.47?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second? Have a second. I have a motion by Bob, a second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Next on claims is payroll. $221,557.50. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Mostly approved.
Have a motion by Bob.
I'll second it.
Have a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
This whole stack, right? We got several here, gentlemen. And again, I'm not gonna break these down. Total out-of-cycle claims is $29,126 and a penny. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Make a motion, we approve the out-of-cycle claims.
Have a motion by Bob. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All these 3-0, Sheila. I apologize for, not that you can't hear, but if you guys don't have any objections while we're signing these, I'm gonna go ahead and move forward to old business jail project, and if you get into a conversation you need to stop, that's fine. As you know, there's been a lot of discussion in the last several years about the jail project, the different costs, from 22 million with interest at 30.5 to see what you can do for 15, because that's what we thought the county might be able to afford. As we've looked at this, it just doesn't appear to be any feasible way that that's gonna happen. With the jail lit money coming in at 860,000 roughly, It would take an additional $500,000 to make that payment. And with a loan at roughly 20 years, if that's what it was be done with at a bond, it would only last about 10 to 15 years. So it's just not feasible at this time. There's been meetings between myself, the president of the council, the attorney. I've spoke to Mr. Curry about this, and he agrees. So I think at this time, any jail discussion is going to be put on hold until moving forward to 2023. And at that time, we can readdress this depending on our financial state. But for the remainder of 2022, there'll be no further jail discussion at this time. Sam, you've been in that meeting as well. We all know what we need, but we also know what we can afford.
Yeah.
If you want to add something to that while we're here in public forum, that'd be great.
Well, you know, let's say we discussed the jail project for years. The jail's in a tough situation, we know that, but, I've said all along, we're not gonna burden the taxpayers with the payment that we can't make. I mean, we can make the payment, but that'd be the end of it. There's no money left over for employees or other building projects. The county's financial situation is just not in good shape right now. Until we get some more revenue locked in, we're just gonna have to deal with what we got. I'll be getting with the commissioners here in the next couple of weeks to go over 2 or 3 projects down at the jail that we're probably gonna have to do. And use some of that correctional facility money, but that's the way it's gonna be from here on out till we have the revenue to back up the payment in Stratton County. We just can't distract employees or the taxpayers. It's just not right. So we're just hanging on to what we got and doing the best we can.
Yeah, and fortunately, we do have some of that money built up to where we can make a few of these repairs. The biggest thing that we're gonna face coming into 2023 is determining what we're going to do with the jail lit funds. We're gonna have to freeze those funds because that was a 20-year tax to go towards the jail. If we continue to use that for maintenance, it's gonna be gone. So at some point, we're gonna have to make a decision. Do we run it for another year to build up funds to support the jail? Do we shut it down in January? Many other discussions ahead of us to deal with that. So,
You're gonna have to weigh the odds there, that's for sure, because like I say, the correctional facility tax is only 20 years, and it's gone after that. You have to figure out what your expense is gonna be to try to get you through until you revive that tax again.
exactly, and hopefully we can get our general fund balance up high enough that if we have to support some maintenance out of that, we can. So again, a lot of issues to deal with moving forward. Jim, you have any comment on any of this?
Big brief, yeah, there are a few. So they're right now in the 1233, the correctional facility, that's what we're looking on the jail tax. It has $820,238 in it. It is a time one, 2 years have already went through. So, and it is a one and done. So one of the key issues will be for the county council to determine is whether or not to continue that. The ideal state, obviously, there's maintenance that has to be done, but you want to, if at all possible, to keep as high as amount of money in the jail correctional facility as possible in 1233. That would be one goal. The other, there's 2 other things that could be done between now and January 1st would be very important. The 2 kind of historical loans, that payroll and that 9051, there's a plan in place and working executed to actually resolve those 2 issues. The ideal state that the Owen County would like to see as far as financial is by January 1st of 2023 is to have a completely clean ledger, meaning that with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 reimbursable grants, you have absolutely no funds in the red. And I think that is clearly possible. That will make a key difference as far as interest rate looking ahead. The other one is you want to get the general fund as high as possible between now and to January 1st. Again, that shows the financial security of the county, it shows the management of money. And you'd also, if we can get to that point of about a 1.4 million in the general fund as a base, as a reserve, that's much proper. So the total concurrence is one, based on economic instability, based on supply chain, based on the fact that even if we put out a $15 million bid, actually the contractors and our weren't sure what we were going to get back. It makes absolute complete fiscal sense for the county not to proceed in the next coming months on the jail project. It actually is very prudent not to. But there's still a ton of work that should be done between now and then as far as that financial. So if there is, in two ways. One, maybe the possibility of paying a much higher principal payment up front. And I'm just using generic words, meaning the less we have to borrow, the better. So if we already have in 1233, and we have perhaps a lit edit, and we have some other left over, to go ahead and pay those costs straight without borrowing any money is obviously one of the ultimate goals. The other is to be at the best financial, to get the best possible interest rate. I think we're in a position there. And it will also give us 8 months to kind of just see what actually is going to occur. But I would concur completely. It makes total sense to put this basically on hold as far as building project A, B, or C. But financially, there are still a number of items that the commissioners and council should still consider and try and meet those goals by December 31st, January 1st, 2023.
Thank you, Jim. Polly, president of the county council, she sat in on these meetings, and you walked in about the time that we talked about putting this project on hold. I know that your opinion is the same as ours. And again, we've talked about the funds, the tax that's coming in. We're gonna have to make a decision on that. Do you have any comments here this morning?
Just that I'm really glad that everybody has kind of come to that conclusion, because I kind of felt like that all along, that we just could not handle a loan of that magnitude right now with us trying to get back on our feet, so.
Thank you. All right, with that being said, we're gonna move forward. Sam, we know you have to depart, so
Thank you all.
have a good day. Talk to you soon.
Have a blessed week.
And hopefully, again, that discussion is put on hold till the remainder of this year anyway. All right, library lease. I think it's been discussed that we are going to no longer agree with the contract with the library or have an agreement with the library. The reduction of the parking lot, the reduction of our county staff. We no longer use that parking lot over there. Saves the county a little bit of money. It also helps the highway department. They were doing some snow removal and parking lot painting and things like that. And we're just not utilizing it as a county for our employees. So, Bob, have you got any, I mean, I know you and I have talked about it. I think we all have a little bit. You want to have any comments on that? Or?
Well, my comments, same way, we don't use it that much. They're putting that pavilion, cutting the parking lot in half. I see no need for us to maintain it and everything. And like I said, Greg's busy enough way it is, patching potholes, which we don't get credit for, but he's sure doing it. Cause he was out on Pottersville Road, so I know he was. Him and his employees, so I'm with you, Gary. I don't see any reason for us to extend this lease one bit.
More than 20 years ago, when I was commissioner last time, we brought this up, and that's when we got to maintain that parking lot. We'd done that so the employees of the courthouse could park over there and walk to work, but they won't do that. So it would free up the area out here in the parking lot for taxpayers and the like, you know. So it would never worked out, so I'm not in favor of keeping it up anymore.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a motion to no longer have an agreement with the library as far as the parking lot contract. Since we don't have a contract and we do not want to engage in one, we'll just make it clear in a vote that we're no longer going to, be in an agreement with the library.
I'm going to apologize and continue with my reading.
Go right ahead. That's what you're here for.
There is an actual lease agreement in existence right now.
When does that run out, Jim?
It runs out, on June 4th of 2023. So but to renew it, it has, if you're wanting to renew it, it has to be renewed in writing prior to June 4th. So if you're not wanting, what the motion would be is to not renew. Now, there is still one more year remaining, but if you pass this, then I can notify them in writing that the county does not wish to renew the lease past June 4th of 2023.
Okay. So the motion is that we do not continue the, lease agreement with the, Owen County Library, moving forward.
I'll second that.
Have a motion to, by myself, seconded by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner, do you wish me to just notify them in writing?
Please.
I'll do that.
Okay, SIDC comprehensive plan. How are you this morning?
Pretty good, how you doing?
Been just fine.
Hello, Matt Sword, Southern Indiana Development Commission. And just a quick update on the comprehensive plan. There have been, I believe, 4 steering committee meetings over the last several months. Helping together the plan. And there is another one coming up on May the 11th at 6 p.m. at McCormick's Creeks Elementary School. And they are getting to the point of coming up with the draft plan. And I believe right now the plan is to go to the Plan Commission in June, just with an update to let them know where things stand. And then a draft copy of the plan will be submitted to Okra. At that point, if they approve it, you know, they could come back with some comments for some changes. But once it's approved, then there will be a public hearing, and I believe by state law that has to go before the Plan Commission. And then, you know, and we can, since the commissioners are the lead applicant or the county, I mean, we can work with you on how you would want us to present it, if you would want us to present it to a commissioners meeting, because there will be a resolution that has to be approved at the appropriate time. So, you know, we can work on that, but I just wanted to let you know kind of where we stood. You know, that public hearing will go before the Plan Commission, and then we can work with the commissioners on final approval for the grant. The plan is at 60% complete. So through, you know, by Okra's guidelines, we do have invoices that need to be approved. And so I've got those. The first one is an invoice in the amount of $36,000. This is the invoice from SDG Research and Planning. They are the consulting firm that's working on the plan. And so that will be paid for with grant funds. So again, that's in the amount of $36,000. And then there's also a grant administration invoice from SIDC in the amount of $3,350, which will be paid for out of local funds.
And that money will have to go to the county council for appropriation, of course, which I think it's already.
Isn't that the 6,000 that was originally approved?
Yeah, well, $6,700, and I talked to Marcy, and I'm not exactly sure how that, I think initially it was gonna come from them, but then something different was worked out. So we may need to talk to Marcy.
As far as I know, it was the 6,000 was coming from the county council. I'm not sure what fund they took that from. I don't know if it was lit edit. I don't remember. It's been some time, and that's a council matter, but I know it's already been appropriated, so that should be no issue.
I'll check which fund it was approved to be paid out of, so we can do a claim for that out of the 6,700, and then I'm assuming when it's done, then the balance would be requested out of that 6,700, because you're only asking for 33.
Right, and so the way we kind of do our invoices, we do them the same as, we try to keep them on the same schedule as consultant, that way we're not doing 2 consultant invoices with the grant funds and then doing 3 or 4 for us. So we'll have one more that comes before the commissioners at the same time the final invoice does for the consultant.
I'll make a motion to approve these invoices obviously that'll be the council's decision on where those funds are coming from. Do I hear a second?
I say,
Made a motion myself to approve the invoices for the comprehensive plan, seconded by Dale. All in favor? Aye. And just move those forward to the council, and we'll let Polly deal with that.
Okay, and just so you know, the final invoices those won't happen until the Okra approves the plan. So it'll be upon, plan completion, so it'll be a few months down the road yet.
And again, like you said earlier, once the planning commission is the final stop for this, and at that point, I'm sure Jim will put together a resolution to move forward.
Yeah, if you go to the plan, then you'll be the final approval. I think, even though it's been about 10 years ago, they did it, and then the commissioners approved it roughly in December of that year. So was that something about the timetable?
Yeah, the plan will go to Okra in October, or I'm sorry, in June. They usually say give them 60 days to review. So that would get us into August, September, so maybe have the public hearing in September. So I mean, we could be looking at October, sometime in the fall.
Okay.
But as we get closer to that, I'll work with you to let you know what those dates are.
No, that's fine.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Donna, Jeff, real quick.
Yes, just for clarification, what does SIDC stand for?
Southern Indiana Development Corporation.
Corporation, yeah.
I do.
And I believe they're out of Bloomington, is that correct? Okay. Lagoda, sorry. Good morning.
Good morning. I think you guys have a copy of the grant already last week. This is just the annual grant that we have to submit to the state every year. They had it a little different this year. It's the only, out of the community corrections grant, you can also have like a pretrial or other ones. We're only filing this one grant. We did ask for a little bit more money. Don't know if we're gonna get any from the state or not, but we did ask for some more money. So, I sent it to the advisory board last week. I got approval from the advisory board. We have another advisory board meeting on May 23rd at 4.
And we appreciate you showing up here. It's just a technicality that's been put into the policy to bring those to the commissioners for approval and move
And
forward.
I have to have this to submit to the state.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. I personally don't have a problem with it whatsoever. Gentlemen, have any questions or concerns?
Nope, I've already told Donna and we talked about it, so I'm good with it.
Do I hear a motion to approve the community crossings grant?
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion by Dale, and second by Bob. All in favor? Aye.
I got some, is it just some of these?
Does it require more than one signature?
No, just yours.
Okay.
And also in the grant, we just get money every month. And so sometimes, that's why sometimes it is and sometimes it's not, so.
You gentlemen have no problem with me signing this document? Okay. I'm sure you need one back.
Yep.
Sheila needs one back.
Yep, and that was another one for you.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Okay. I'm gonna give that one to Jim. Health Department grant. Thought I had a copy of that in here. Good morning. Good morning, Christine.
Put it in 11:59.
He sent me a, thing I'll send to you, how it can be used. So.
It's $1,000, is that
Yeah,
correct?
every year we have to do a, local health maintenance survey, and, Indiana, finished their budget year on the plus side, so the governor said anyone who could get this done by May 1st would get $1,000. So we completed ours, so basically, that's all it was to it. They just needed a way to, I guess, distribute the money. So I'll need to get with Sheila and the council and see what fund that will go into.
And you're gonna use this for payroll or various different things or
We are-
supplies?
We're gonna have to figure that out. The state did send us a, well, they said it was, I things you can use it for, I do believe it can go into the 1159 fund, which would
Give you,
help a lot.
right, open the door for whatever.
Yeah.
Of course, $1,000 in today's world won't go very far anyway.
All right,
Yeah.
but it's,
I put it in the food fund, but
yeah,
if
food fund.
it goes into the 1159 health fund, that is the tax-based fund. So it would reduce when they turn in their budgets, the state would look at that like they have extra money, so it probably should go, I don't wanna tell you what to do, but probably better
Well,
off
that's why I
like in
wanted to
your
get with you
food
and see
fund or one.
Yeah, we don't want to cut
of those
ourselves short on
ones.
revenue
Right.
down the road, so.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to get with Sheila and see what would be the best to
Sounds good.
put it.
Do I hear a motion to approve the, grant, health department grant?
I make a motion to approve it.
Have a motion by Bob, do I hear a second? Have a second by Dale, all in favor? Aye. And this one, looks like it only requires one signature. Sheila, I'm gonna let you wanna look at this? One of the two of you?
I was gonna say, I think it's Christine's signature.
Maybe it is, yeah, cause it doesn't have it there.
Oh, yeah.
So if you wanna sign that and give it back to Sheila, I think we're good to go.
It's already on there.
Yeah, it's electronic, so I already put it on that.
Okay. Had a signature tab on it, I just wanted to make sure that we were covered. All right,
And then, I was contacted by the auditor's office. For drug testing, we do have a CLIA lab license, so
we
that
can
is.
send our employees through you.
Yeah, and it will save you guys a lot of money, because we can do it for, 15 tests, $100. And it's probably gonna be over $100 if you send it out to a lab.
And I think I was told we had a new employee today, so, we'll utilize that. Jim, has you, any issues?
You need a motion, no, just simply a motion to do that, and then to notify all the departments to do all the drug testing through the health department.
So do I hear a motion to approve the health department as our drug testing center for Owen County government, and our county, policy book?
I make that motion.
Have a motion by Bob, do I have a second?
I'll say it.
A second by Dale, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff Department is already passed. Chris, how are you this morning? Rough weekend?
Rough week.
You know, the older you get, you're not supposed to play as hard, right?
Well, I know, fortunately, short-handed down there, so.
Are you still losing employees or can't get any help?
Not getting any.
Okay,
So I guess what we have today is, to look at and kind of finalize the bid packets and for the ambulance. That's really all I have for you today. So with that being said.
Sure, Commissioner, if I could just kind of, because Chris got this very, very late, did not have time to review it, and it's totally, he did not have enough time. But we're totally ready to go ahead if you approve this. All we would ask in the motion that you allow leave if Chris and I need to make any technical, corrections on it. This is a bid package for an ambulance. We expect the bid will be over $150,000, so that's why it's going to be sealed bids. If you approve this today, the first publication will go out on May 11th of 2022. The second publication is May 18th of 2022. And the bids will be due back on June 6th of 2022 at 9 to be read out loud. The bid packet itself has the standard notice to bidders, bid sheet instructions. I checked with the auditor prior, the 11th and the 18th will be satisfactory. We have enough time to get those published twice. And then Chris has already designed a 41-page bid specifications. So if this packet looks acceptable to you, if you want to approve that, that will give Chris and I 10 days to go ahead and make any technical corrections if necessary, and this can be released on the 11th.
yeah, I flipped through it, it's pretty, extensive. But this isn't the first ambulance that we've purchased and, not the first time Chris has, done this, so I feel confident in everything that he's put in there. I did mention to him about the power assist units in these quotes. I think it's a must. So I want to make sure that that is included in the bid. Those were additionally, Chris, and refresh my memory, we bought 2 of those, but I think what we get 50,000 a piece roughly for those, is that correct? Or 45, something like that?
They were around 25 apiece.
Okay, so it was 50 for the pair. Okay, I knew that was a number that we had talked about. Unless you tell me that it's not something that you think is necessary, but I think it's very crucial.
Yeah.
Chris, I just had a technical question. Would that be something that normally the manufacturer would include in the bid price, or is this separate? That's the only thing I wondered.
Yeah, the manufacturer needs to know how the cot will be mounted.
Okay.
So this would be the perfect time to include that into the
Okay.
price. So we probably ought to assure that that's in the specs.
That's not.
Yeah, I think we had that discussion last year when we did this with the other 2, that it was easier to do that coming brand new from the facility than trying to do it after the fact. So if we could add, that's the only change that I have. Commissioners, you have anything else that you've seen, or? Of course, working with Chris, I'm very familiar with the power assist units.
For Sheila, for the notice to bidders, that will not change anything, so that notice is still good. But then that would give leave in your motion, Chris, and I, we can add that in the actual bid specs and get that out by the 11th.
So do I hear a motion to approve the Owen County ambulance bid with the inclusion of the power assist unit to be added to the bid process?
I'll make that motion.
But I have a motion by Dale, seconded by Bob. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's all I've got. Unless you guys have anything for me?
How's the other Tahoe holding up? I know we had some discussion about that.
Yeah, the 2010 is our front line right now. Our 2015, I had to take it in for some work. They ended up, I guess you have to pull the intake manifold off that to replace the injectors. They replaced those, got it back, it ran a couple days, started giving us the same problem. They ran some tests, 2 of the injectors were bad, that they, brand new, that they put in. So they've ordered 8 more injectors. And, we're waiting for those to come in so they can replace the injectors again.
Supply lines.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's only able to get his hands on 4 right now, but he says he's got 4 more coming. The new Tahoe that we just got, it's real close to being ready to be in service. I worked this weekend, refurbished the box that mounts in the back of it. We had to cut it down a little bit because the opening for the new Tahoe is a little bit narrower, so I had to take about 2 inches off the width. And then recarpeted it and cleaned it up, made sure it's ready to be put in there.
Light bar still on back order, I'm assuming.
The light bar is on it, all the lights are on. Well, let me back up. It's got lights on it. It didn't have any lights on the side. Sideward facing lights, so I went back and talked to him about that. And he's getting some light strips that go underneath the door, kind of like what the police are running right now. He was afraid that with the contour of the fenders, that the lights would be pointing up in the air instead of outward to alert, side approaching vehicles. So we're waiting on those, but I can run it.
So you're real
We
close.
get the strip, we're getting real close to having it in service. The radios are in it, lights are on, sirens on,
Good deal.
so, yeah. So that's all I had.
All right, Chris, appreciate it. Have a good day.
I'm probably gonna scoot out of here so I can get payroll done.
Sure. Highway Department updates.
Morning, Commissioners. I have just a few things to come in front of you before, things that Jim and I have worked on in regard to, Hardscrabble Road. I think that's prepared today. First thing, Commissioners, we had to purchase all new hard hats because our hard hats were, expired and, we're required to wear them for our insurance purposes. I need the 28 hard hats that are expired deemed worthless property. Jim, do we need documentation or?
Yeah, what we want to do here, Commissioners, this is, we're acting under Indiana Code 5-22-22-8. The property is worthless, it may be demolished or junk. What's the definition of worthless or junk? If the value of the property is less than the estimated cost of sale and transportation of the property. My understanding that these hard hats are no longer of any value, is that correct?
They're not, they're expired, so.
Okay, so you would not want to sell these. So the only thing would be a motion by the Commissioners to declare these as worthless. And at the highway, what you want to do is document whether you want to photograph it with a phone or video. It's just do the actual destruction or demolition of them and keep a list of the number if anyone has a question. You said it was 28, is that
Yes.
correct? Yeah, just that there'd be a notification writing that on, say, May 1st, the Owen County Highway Department destroyed 28 hard hats, and then just photograph or video how that's done, and then we'll have a motion here for the Commissioners.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the destruction and considered junk? Worthless, whatever you want to say. 28 hard hats at the Highway Department.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Bob. Do I hear a second? Have a second by Deb. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The next thing I have, Commissioners, and I spoke with you about it in the last meeting, the 14-foot concrete structured culvert that's over 90 years old on Class Road is in dire need of replacement. The culvert to put in, that hole is in. In order for us to put it in, we would need to rent an excavator, so we've asked for some bids. Unfortunately, I also have to report to you today that I lost another employee, so we're real tight right now. We're down 4. And the concrete plant down at Whitehall is hired about all my truck drivers. Well, not all of them, but all of them that have left have went to the concrete plant at Whitehall. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah, making roughly $10 more an hour than what we're paying.
Yes. Yeah, they're starting work at $27 an hour. So anyway, I asked for, I know I'm required to have 3 quotes. I asked for 4. I had 2 responses. I asked for quotes from Fry, Fender, Nans, and Bixler. That goes to Jim. Depending on what these come back in, that could be paid out of 1173, which has a healthy balance, or it could come out of 1135 bridge also.
Obviously, we'd like to see that out of 1173.
I would rather go from 1173, but those are our options.
Okay, very good. A couple of just questions. These 4 companies that you requested quotes from, were they all companies that were known to deal in these lines of classes of this type of work?
They are. They're all local contractors, but this is the type of work they do.
Okay. And then Chip, were you able to get the names of all 4 of those? Okay. And what were the 2 that did not respond?
Bixler bulldozing, excavating, and Andy Nans excavating.
Did either one give a reason as far as why they didn't quote?
No,
Okay.
they didn't. In fact, I went with Mr. Bixler. I expected something, but didn't get anything.
Okay. All right.
And they do the times.
Okay. So this one, the first one is Fry. This is from Fry Enterprises. To Owen County Highway Department. This is for the reconstruction of Class Road Bridge, submitted by Fry Enterprises. They're located out of Spencer, Indiana. We hereby offer to contract to perform the work with a sum of $35,280. So this is from Fry Enterprises, $35,280. The other one is from Fender Excavating. Okay, this is Fender Excavating. This is a quote to take out the old concrete bridge on Class Road, put a culvert, put culvert skew, S-K-E-W, culvert. I'm gonna say that word looks like maybe more in line with water flow. Riprap ends and splash with concrete. County to provide culvert, haul stone in, and concrete. The price $10,000. So for Fender Excavating, the price is $10,000.
Jim, are those services comparable in that other quote as far as what they were going to do?
Well, the other quote from Fry just simply says we agree to perform the work. So I
can go, we explained to each contractor the exact same information. We wanted the pipe set on the skew for the water flow, which means it goes in at an angle. We explained how we wanted the riprap put in and slub concrete over the edges to hold it. We also discussed the demolition. Everybody was given the same information. They were advised that the pipe is 102 by 82 inches, flat bottomed arch pipe, 54 feet long. So everybody was provided the same information.
Just wanted to make sure, since there was such a variation in price, that's all. And Greg, you and I talked that if the county did this, first of all, we're shorthanded. Second of all, we would have to rent a bigger excavator than we have because equipment we have cannot handle that size of pipe. So that's one of the reasons that we're also looking at this. The time we rent a piece of equipment and take people out of our workforce to do this job, it's just not feasible. Do I hear a motion to approve Fender Excavating at $10,000 for the Class Road project?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Dale. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Bob. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Greg, were you thinking that could come out of Fund 1173?
Yes. It's reconstruction, so there's no reason that we can't. I think there's a $302,000 balance in there, so.
Actually, it would be new construction, so I think it fits perfectly.
Okay, either way, yeah. So we're taking out a concrete culvert, putting in
Everything's
it.
coming out to put this in.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do
Okay,
you want to do the release of liability first?
Yes, please.
Okay, so, Commissioners, you should have before you a covenant and agreement for, I may mispronounce the last name, but Mr. Robert Buchan? Okay, mispronounced it completely. So Mr. Robert Beaucamp and Ms. Cindy Beaucamp and Owen County regarding the drainage improvement and release of liability. We have a 2-page document. This is a full and complete release. Kind of drawing your attention to the paragraph on the second page. Basically, it says this: regardless of the cause, Mr. Buchan expressly release Owen County Highway Department and the Owen County Commissioners from any liability of any kind from the construction of the ditch to divert natural water from the surface water. Buchans have asked, I believe, and worked with the highway. This is in Quincy, Indiana, specifically 3141 Market Street. From the road to Mill Creek, there's an area of land that would like to run a ditch through here to help with the road and the surface. Highways examined this and asked me to prepare this liability, release of liability. It is complete. I would ask, like I said, they should be given complete total time as much as they want, but it should be like absolutely clear. This is a complete liability. There's no guarantee that this will work. There's no guarantee that it won't flood, but this is simply gives the highway permission and releases the Owen County Highway Department and the Owen County Commissioners from any type of liability of any kind whatsoever.
Little explanation, Commissioners, after investigation there, it appears that at some point in time, many years ago, because there is clay tile that goes from the, a culvert that has failed in the road to the drainage area. It's 120 feet across there. I've worked with John Reeves in regard to this project also. And we can confirm that the tile that runs across the yard at this location has always been used to drain water. It's not been any type of sewage line. And it's failed, and it's just caused a horrible drainage issue in this location.
Greg, I see it says Market Street. Does any of this affect Front Street that we've had issues as well?
It does.
I figured it did.
It is at the intersection, but the pipe is actually on Market.
Okay. I just want to make sure because we've had all kinds of issues there, so. Are Robert and Cindy here today, or?
They are not. They could not attend.
Okay.
But they did say that I could bring it to their home. They didn't want to miss work. I asked them to come.
Okay.
Commissioners, if it would require a motion and approval, then all the signatures engrave your signature and then the date, then it would need to be signed. Once they've signed it, the auditor needs the original contract. And obviously the highway will want to keep a copy, so.
Okay. Any questions, gentlemen? Do I hear a motion to approve the agreement between Mr. and Mrs. Beauchamp and Owen County for the address located on the document, 3141 Market Street, Quincy, Indiana, for a drainage issue?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Bob. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye.
Commissioners, while you're signing that, if I could, I'll just go ahead and continue then. On the bridge projects, just to let you know, on Bridge 116 and Bridge 44, those bridge packets have already been approved by you as commissioners. The first publication went out on April 27th of 2022. Those bids are due back here at our next meeting on May 16th of 2022. Bridge 116 is Franklin Road over Raccoon Creek. Bridge 44 is Wasatch Lake Road over King Creek. There's a second publication due on May 4th of 2022, but then on the 16th. So just kind of I guess a heads up that at the next meeting we would expect to receive sealed bids for those two projects and look at those. These were the ones that have already been approved for the ARP money and the appropriations. So these would be funded. This is not a community crossing grant program on here.
Thank you.
For today's date, this is Hardscrabble Road. So we're going to talk about community crossings next, but I wanted to be kind of crystal clear. The Hardscrabble Road, this is a resurfacing project. This is not. It is not a community crossings grant program. This is part of the ARP money. Greg, I don't know, you got this very, very late, so I don't know if you had time. It's 34 pages for the actual product. So what we did with EMS, if the commissioners approve this packet, you still have 10 days to go in here and look for any technical corrections, especially take a look at just the number of feet per road, and there's a berm for stone. If there's anything you want changed, we can make the technical corrections. But commissioners, you should have about a 35-page packet for you. Looks like there's the bid package, paving road for Owen County. It includes notice to bidders, proposal, and then there's a number, since this is bid out, non-collusion, domestic steel, drug testing, all of those forms are ready. The project on here, if it's approved today, the first publication would go out May 11th of 2022. So we have until that time to go ahead and make any technical correction you want. The second publication would go out May 18th. The bid packet is due June 6th of 2022 at 9 o'clock for it. Now, part of this is meeting approval. This project would start on July 5th of 2022, and it would conclude by August 5th, 2022 on a Friday. It does have a penalty phase. I believe it's $100 a day if it's not completed. So if that time period would work for everyone, we would expect work to begin on the 5th and conclude no later than August 5th. I think the reason I did this Hardscrabble Road is possibly a redirection of bus routes and trying to make the time period for it. Big pictures you should have it. There's also a contract package. Now, that would not be released. That is just the actual contract and the notice to proceed, attempt to award. That's for June 6th. So those are the two contract packages that you have.
So we're looking at approval of the bid package for Hardscrabble.
Hardscrabble Road.
And Craig, I can't remember if you and I discussed it. I know I did with Jim. This was, you and I discussed it earlier about this was gonna be the route for the buses. We talked to transportation and they were going to try to use this back route to the stoplight and stay away from the blinker.
That is correct.
So I had asked Jim, and again, I don't remember if you and I talked about this, but try to get that done before school starts. That way we've got this taken care of. So that's one of the reasons I think that the dates might have been bumped up a little bit. Yeah, so we're both on the same page.
For everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, that way we're not out there trying to construct on a road during bus time, so.
And Commissioner, just doing it, time not to get too in details, but if you would really take a good hard look at the road, the width, and it did, it was informed like you wanted 9mm asphalt. That's different than we used in the past. So just if you would look, let me know if there's any corrections and we can make those before the.
All right, gentlemen, got any questions on the bid pack for Hardscrabble Road? We've discussed this several months back. And again, the funds are coming from ARPA funds. They're not coming out of county highway budget. They're not community crossings budget. So with that being said, do I hear a motion to approve the bid packet for the paving project of Hardscrabble Road?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Dale. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
3-0.
So there's a contract package that does not go out. That just goes to the six, but it's prepared for.
I have a signature page on my copy here, but I don't see one. You want me to sign this one that we have?
Do they have to actually sign?
No, there's nothing.
You don't want this one signed? Okay. Just making sure, because there's a signature page here on this bid.
Yeah, no, nothing needs to be signed with that. Commissioner, then before we go into the community crossings, there's a question about cemeteries, cemetery law. The highway department, unless it is a county cemetery, there may or may not be a care of a county cemetery. I mean this with no disrespect to anyone, but it is not the county highways function to do any repairs on any private cemeteries or any public cemeteries. Kind of direct attention, it's under Indiana Code 12-14-43-1. Actually, the owner or director of a private or public cemetery has legal authority to repair or construct with compliance, obviously, with the highway. I mean, to let them know. But the first half mile from the cemetery out, they have the actual authority as far as making any repairs or anything that they necessary. They don't have to, but the point being, unless you instruct the highway, like as far as on your annual plan or you have this road, the highway is not, look, I guess the best way I can say it is just to receive a phone call, come out and repair the cemetery. There's no statutory authority for that. It's actually kind of the opposite. There is a care of cemeteries by counties. These are very specific. They have to be county cemeteries themselves. If there are any in existence, you have actually authority for a county commission. For a cemetery board, I don't believe there's any one of those in existence. As far as the board, but primarily, if it's not a private cemetery, this really falls under the township trustee. The township trustee, there's a definition that these are cemeteries that are without funds or maintenance, primarily were in existence prior to 1939, February 1948, and is operated by nonprofit or is not managed by any liable, they have a duty where the township trustee under Indiana Code 23-14-68-2, township trustee shall maintain and locate all of the township trustee cemeteries, and they're responsible for resetting and straightening monuments, leveling and seeding the ground, constructing fences, repairing fences, destroying, cleaning any detrimental plants, not just weeds and rank vegetation. So, there's been a call, there might be confusion on that, but unless absolutely specifically directed by you for a county cemetery for the roads only, that is not the highways department's concern or part of their responsibility. Greg, I'll leave that, to you if there's any difference, but I mean statutorily, that's what it's.
No, and commissioners, this comes up, and Jim had the definition last year, but I believe that, it has been traditionally done that the highway department, prior to Memorial Day, try to get in and make all the little cemetery roads passable. And then after research, last year, we felt that it wasn't our responsibility. And then it has cropped up again, and, the trustees are actually making the request that we just need direction as to what we're supposed to do. Gentlemen, if you want me to, the department do that work, we have no problem doing it. It's just, we do not want to be incorrect as to what we're doing.
Well, and there's been a lot of conversation about this. The problem that we run into is a lot of these are on private property, and then we become liable if we're there. I think that we need to stay away from the problem, myself. That's my personal opinion. We go out and try to maintain or work on somebody's private property to get to the cemetery. If something goes wrong, tree falls, fence is tore down or whatever, that puts the county liable for it, and I just don't think it's a good idea.
And I think what you'll actually find is, just speaking with people, the last that really made this done was when Bob was handling community corrections. So it's been a while.
Right. And it would be nice to see that come back, but I know you don't want to do it, but I'm not volunteering either.
Well, that was controlled by DOC, and I don't think it's gonna come back.
Yeah.
Corrections.
Well, the trustees trustees and townships have money that they could possibly hire somebody, a landscaping service, a tree service, whatever needs to be done, and I think that, that's where this needs to be directed to.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next up is that this is now the Community Crossings grant. It's my understanding that Owen County was awarded a Community Crossing matching grant. The amount was $111,592.50. Now that is not 100% grant, that is 75%. The county itself, that has a matching of 25, roughly that amount would be $37,197, just in the ballpark area. So the total amount of this grant are expected would be for this section of the Fiddler Road.
Fiddler
Road would be roughly about $148,789 as far as the projection. 111 paid by NDOT, 37 paid out of Owen County funds. So, but being that it's a grant, it requires a number of paperwork. So the first one is resolution number 2022-00 Now, this resolution is only for the execution of an NDOT agreement. This is not whether you are approving to accept this grant or not. It just is the fact that if you decide to accept the grant, NDOT is requested, rather than have 3 signatures and a test by the auditor, they're just asking for a single signature on NDOT grants, and this would allow the president of the Board of Commissioners to sign any document for NDOT for the purposes of a Community Crossings grant. It would be resolution number 2022-008. This is a resolution of Owen County Board of Commissioners, State of Indiana, concerning the authorization and execution of an NDOT agreement. Whereas Indiana Code 36-13 permits any unit of the state of Indiana to exercise any power or to perform any function necessary to the public interest in the context of the governmental and internal affairs, which is not prohibited by the Constitution of the United States, state of Indiana, or denied or preempted by any other law, or expressly not granted by any other law to any other governmental entity. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of the County of Owen, Indiana, is the Owen County legislative and executive body that is by law authorized to adopt ordinances and resolutions for the administration of Owen County's legal and financial affairs. And whereas the Indiana Department of Transportation has requested specific written authority for the execution of NDOT agreements when all members of the executive body do not sign. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the County of Owen the following. Authorization, Section 1, the President of the Owen County Board of Commissioners is hereby authorized and confirmed to have the authority to execute any NDOT agreements and all other documents related thereto, and all documents related to the NDOT grant programs for and behalf of and by the Owen County Board of Commissioners in the County of Owen, Indiana. Ratification, Section 2, the Board of Commissioners of the County of Owen, Indiana hereby ratifies all prior agreements and associated documents signed and executed by the President of the Board of Commissioners for the County of Owen, Indiana, prior to the effective date of this resolution. Section 3, effective date. This resolution is effective immediately upon its date and adoption. Passed and adopted by the Board of Commissioners of Owen County, State of Indiana. The regular meeting held on today's date of May 1st, 2022, Owen County Board of Commissioners, Gary President, Robert Curry Vice President, Delta Boys Commissioner, Sheila Reeves Auditor.
Thank you, Jim.
Rachel didn't sign this.
Yes.
So, Commissioner, so that's for your resolution. If you pass this resolution, here, this has to be filled out with your name, email, and cell phone number. And then both of these documents, I guess we can give them to Rachel. She needs to get these to NDOT as quickly as possible.
And this will be moving forward on any community crossing
For
document.
this year, yeah, this is good for the entire year. And just to be clear for the other committee, this is not approving or disapproving an actual grant. This is just the authority because everything's electronic, if I understand it correctly.
All right, gentlemen, do I hear a motion to approve resolution number 2022-008?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Dale. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Bob. All in favor? Aye. There's that.
Okay, Commissioners, we're on the time deadlines. This notification of this award occurred on April 19th of 2022. The entire signed and returned of the actual acceptance of the grant has to be done prior to June 19th of 2022. It's my understanding, Rachel, is this correct, that once these documents are submitted to NDOT then will send the actual documents. So you may want, as commissioners, decide whether or not you want to accept the grant today. If you do, then we have to have a contract fully executed by August 19th of 2022. If you are going to accept the grant, then we'll probably need to have this bid packet ready for the next meeting. Get this bid out and be ready to proceed prior to August 19th with a written contract.
Thank you, Jim. This is something that we've not discussed as commissioners, but today's the day that we're gonna have to do that. We received a small amount of the community crossings. There were some issues with our GIS mapping being outdated. We're in the process of fixing that problem. Susan's working on it, as well as the highway department, WTH, which we will get that resolved before the July relet. But I think it's crucial that we go ahead and accept what has been available to us at this time to do roughly a mile of Fiddler Road, maybe just a little bit more, depending on where the prices come in. But if we turn down state money, the chances of us getting the second round are gonna be slim to none. That's my opinion, and I think the highway feels the same way. So, do I hear a motion to go ahead and approve the community crossings funds that are available to Owen County at this time?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Dale, do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Bob, all in favor, aye.
Alright,
Really, when you have time, there's no hurry, just could you send me the specifications for that section, then I'll go ahead and prepare the.
A little further on, the GIS information that Gary just spoke about, up until, this year, about everything we do now is electronic. But before, I actually went out and took a wheel and walked these roads and measured them. And we never had a problem. This year, NDOT took what roads we wanted and took the specifications right off of our GIS. And our GIS, which has nothing to do with the highway department, does not match NDOT's. So I think it's something that we can get fixed. I've talked with Suzanne, I think she feels the same way, and we'll be prepared to resubmit in July. We have submitted twice, in 1 year when there was money left over, and we have been successful. So I think we take care of this little glitch, we won't have a problem. Now, saying that, we're talking about July, the commissioners probably should go ahead and vote to just allow us to submit the same roads that we submitted the first time.
And I agree with that. We want to keep those same exact roads on that community crossing, and get those completed for the citizens that we've discussed, what roads we were gonna do. I agree with that. And again, I've made it very clear to Susan and to you guys as well, that we're gonna do whatever we have to do to get our GIS up to date. I think we had some issues with several different layers. We're gonna get that issue taken care as well. Unfortunately, when this was dealt with WTH some time back, I think we had 60 licensed, 45 of them were editable license, which is just blows my mind. But anyway, that's a whole nother problem.
And then just one other brief thing, and commissioners, I'm done. Commissioner Burton, I spoke with you about, a bridge deck on Beach Church Road that, needs to be replaced. And we thought we had the material, at the shop to do that because we have the flooring off of the old, Gosport Bridge still, and we use that on many sections. I run into a problem there. We have a large Amish community in that neighborhood, and I do not believe the steel, deck, that's just a big type screen will work for them to cross that with their horses.
Yeah, it'd be a horseshoe problem for sure.
So I think we're gonna have to look at that, or a concrete deck on that bridge. It's not gonna be an easy solve.
So that's another one that we're gonna have to look at putting out for bid. Something else to add to your plate, Jim?
All right, with that, Greg, with that, we still kind of have that ordinance, speed ordinance for Braysville Road. Do you want that today, or do you want that held?
Commissioners, I want it held, and I'm going to tell you why. I have to do a traffic study on each one of these roads that we ask for a speed ordinance. And, part of that, in order to comply, is putting traffic counters out. Every traffic counter we have been destroyed by vandals. And, you know, I just, you know, at $1,500 a whack, I just don't think that I have or the county has the money to go buy another counter for somebody to just destroy it, because I have to take a daily count and a weekly count before that traffic study is complete to comply. So, I'll leave that to the commissioners, but otherwise, I think, Jim, that just needs to be put on hold.
Okay.
We're trying to make repairs, but it is a combination of a mechanical machine and an electronic machine in the same function. So we tried to repair, tried to get a count, didn't work, but.
We may have to, I think originally went to the council for those original counters, if I'm not mistaken.
We did.
And we may want to do that again because the highway budget can't afford it. And possibly with that, Polly's here listening to what I've got to say. if that happens, then maybe we can put some cameras, like we've talked about, on our equipment on these counters as well to protect them. Instead of putting out 2 or 3 of them around the county, we just do one road at a time, monitor. So I'd suggest that go to the council and see if we can come up with another $1,500 somewhere besides the highway budget and see if we can get that done.
Okay, I'll put a plan together.
Okay.
Greg, just one last thing, this will not, it's not an actual petition for today, but there's been some discussion, and Commissioner Burton can explain where the road is much better than me, but off of 67, there's a coal roast, I would call it a path, it didn't look like a road to me, and then it goes all the way around to another area. So there's an entrance and exit, there's an old bridge. It's been my understanding that rather than that be an actual traffic pattern, that's been a place to take trash and just set it on fire and things like that. It's likely there's gonna be a petition by one of the homeowners to actually permanently close that area. But one of the things that has to be found, if that area was closed, did you understand the area that I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about,
Okay.
and I support its closure.
Okay, I was gonna say, does that cause any problems? Would that reasonably interfere with the flow of traffic on 67 or any other road if you actually close that?
No.
Okay, fine. I would assume, probably let's go to June by the time the petition comes, but it's very likely that in the month of June, there'll be a petition to actually close that area both ways. I do understand that there's perhaps some farmer that he would still have the access to go there, but as far as general traffic, probably that both entrance and exits would be closed.
That's correct, and I think just for liability's sake, I think we should gain the bridge.
That can all be done under, it's a Title 820, but I'll work on that drafting the petition. I would say June's probably the most reasonable time.
That sounds good. Yeah, I think Greg made a good point here. Sometime back, that bridge is still on our inventory. We're paying to have it inspected, which no longer needs to happen. We'll have to get with Mr. Sample. He farms there, and the gentleman back here lives on Lingle Road, and he said that he thought he'd come in off of Lingle Road to get into the one field and the other side. So we may have to gate both ends with locks accessible to Mr. Sample. But we'll have to get with him. I can call
And we
him.
can dump riprap in it, but commissioners, for liability's sake, I'd probably dump riprap in it and gate it both.
Okay. As long as he has access to it,
And
you know,
if the farmer actually needs it, then
we'll work it out.
this.
I'll have Ronnie contact you.
Okay, that's all I can think of.
Okay, commissioners, I have nothing else. Nick Zimmerman is here in regard to Ridgeline Road. I'm sorry.
Back to the reapplying and
Yes.
resubmitting in July. Do you need a motion for the same roads?
Yeah, we haven't done that yet on those community crossings. I mean, we just kind of agreed, but we probably ought to go ahead and put that in a matter of a motion.
Reapplying for the,
Community crossing roads. Keep our plan exactly as is.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Bob to continue our community crossings plan as is, excluding the roughly mile section of Fiddler Road that's already been approved. Do I have a second? Have a motion by Bob, second by Dale. All in favor? Aye.
Anyway, I don't know where we're at on the agenda, and I've had several calls with issues with departments, so I may have to leave, but I want to speak in regard to Ridgeline Road, just in case, I do have to leave before Nick gets to speak. This has been a source of, contention, since I've been highway superintendent. Commissioners, I've looked at the location, at least 3 times now. I think Mr. Zimmerman has a different idea than the highway department was approached with, on many other occasions about adopting, this entire subdivision, with some, a repair of 3 culverts on the road and just, some basic road maintenance to get it's a gravel road, to get the gravel back up, into good condition. And Mr. Zimmerman says he has that support. This is like any other subdivision that I've worked with. I can support that plan as long as we're following in the right direction.
So we're talking driveway pipes for every resident and,
Well, yes, there is a little bit of an issue out there that one will have to figure out how to solve, and I will have to work on that, but there's a limestone shelf out there that just a few inches under your topsoil, you have a problem. So I'll have to research that a little bit, but I think with time, one can come up with a plan.
okay. So basically you need to go out there and assess the situation to come back with a county plan for that subdivision.
I've worked on that, but the limestone has given me a little bit of an issue, so I need to come up with something that will work, that's affordable in regard to the limestone.
Okay.
And I think that can be done.
Okay. Nick, if you want to go ahead and come up while Greg's still here.
Yeah, sure. Okay, at one point I asked to pull up a map of that area, is that possible or not really? Doesn't matter.
If you can, that's
Yeah,
fine.
if we can, and if not, then, if you go through the packet I gave you, you'll see about halfway through, there's 100 acres. The only thing I can really say is, in addition to that you can see a lot clearer on the GIS mapping system is this road is a separate entity. It is not part of anybody's property.
Okay.
It was dedicated to the public. At some point there was a, what do we call that, a brouhaha at the commissioners meeting several times. And from what I gather, it was not accepted. However, it is a platted subdivision. There's several pages here where I presented the history of this area, but the reality of it is what we're trying to do is get Ridgeline Road adopted as a county road. Part of the reason for that is, in the middle of March, I sent you an email, and you said that is a private road, and the people that live on it own it and are responsible for it. But sir, I disagree. I don't own that road. It is not on my title. It is not on my deed. That road has nothing to do with me other than I drive up and down it every day when I want to go to town. The road that actually goes to my house, do we understand the cameras aren't on today?
Right.
The road that goes to my house is right here. This is where I live. That's a completely separate piece of land. It's privately owned. It's its own mess. We could talk about it for several days probably.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have a lot of these messes.
But I don't own that one either. That's all I'm telling you. So I'm willing to work with Greg, and I think that potentially we could do something, but I will want to be upfront with you. I won't sign anything that says I own that road, because I don't. So therefore, I can't act officially to do much of anything. We have started the Facebook group. We're getting pretty good participation.
Who maintains that road now?
Realistically, one gentleman that has a large tractor does the bulk of the gravel moving.
Who pays for the gravel?
It's a real ad hoc situation there, sir. I bought a load before. I have.
So you're putting money into the road?
I have contributed before. We've tried to do a homeowners at least twice, but it won't take. And if you're aware of homeowners establishment, I could talk for hours on that as well, but it's not gonna happen. Last time we actually got close to a homeowners, I was the one that talked to the lawyer when I went back to present it at the meeting. I told him I wouldn't sign off on it. I don't know anybody would. The real problem here is that you have a definition of private road that I can find no place in the zoning and plating. I don't see it defined anywhere. Maybe you have an attorney, I don't. I guess I can't accept your description of a private road. The other thing I find when I look through the zoning is that there's, again, the situation of this public road is not defined anywhere. On the zoning, in the section 3.6 under zone map, one of the first lines in there says every parcel will be classified. Well, there's no classification for this road. If you zoom in on it, you'll see it has no lot number, it has no designation, it has no assignment. It's just called Ridgeline Road. So the real issue here, now that the map's up, is you'll see a circle over here on the left-hand side. where that circle begins, I have a pointer, but I don't know if I can reach it without being in your face. Yeah, I'll just describe this to you. What you'll see is that out here where Item 8 Drive is probably more visible than anything else. That is called, what is that called? That's called Hidden Valley. That is two separately platted subdivisions. All of those properties are platted to the center of the road, which I believe is a much more standard practice these days. That then extends down onto what's called Friendly Drive down there a little bit farther down. It's kind of hard to get it all on the map without zooming back so far you can't see it anymore. So that's a separate issue. In the past, people have said, we want all these roads adopted. I would not encourage you to do that personally. Also, you're the commissioners and I'm not here to tell you what to do. Ridgeline Road then, where those two roads come together, is where Ridgeline Road actually starts. So what you'll see is we come down around the bend and out to the highway. Historically, that road's been there for a very long time. All right, when you get to Eastview Lane, about halfway down that hill, you change to a new township, and that's another mess entirely. And like I said, I don't see any reason to go into that necessarily. If you come on down towards the highway, you'll see Sun Valley Drive. That Sun Valley Drive is actually part of an estate called Briarwood. I was not aware of that until a few weeks ago. The history of that is kind of laid out in that handout I gave you, but essentially that was a different developer. It is a different complex. There is no official map with the recorder's office. I don't know who drew all these lines. That was an establishment started by Leonard White, and he still owns a larger part of it, as you can see. In his covenants, you'll see that he says that he is responsible for maintenance of the road as far as ingress and egress. He puts that on the property owners. I don't think he lives back there, but sir, he does own the property. There has been a letter sent him, I believe today, asking him what he'd like to do, but part of the problem here is that there's nothing in his covenants that tell you any method of collecting that money or in doing the repair or who to give it to. So I asked one of the ladies that lived back there if she'd do the letter. She said, okay. But again, we've got no authority. I'm here as a human being and a taxpayer. This is not, this is, you know, I don't have any right to tell Leonard what to pay with that road, nor does anybody have any right to tell me I'd have to pitch in on gravel on Ridgeline. It's impossible to get anything established. We had some meetings before. There's a real problem with how many people it takes to establish a forum. The other problem is certainly one of liability that I asked you about in that email and he didn't actually address, but every time my wheels touch that pavement, I'm concerned about somebody coming after me because I moved some gravel. So it's a real problem. We have a person who's agreed to collect that money, but that's another real ad hoc situation. There is no audit of those funds, and she's not bonded. There is no, there's nothing. So
you've tried to get some type of organization together for Ridgeline Road and got no participation.
The closest we came, sir, was about 30 years ago.
Okay.
28 years, let me say 28. I could probably dig through there and get you a closer date. We actually had 3 or 4 meetings. No, we had 6 meetings. And at that time, Hidden Valley was still being developed. Well, the word that was always out was, well, the county's gonna take Ridgeline Road once all those properties are sold. And that's what I was told when I bought my house. Well, that didn't happen, and I have my own theories on that. I'm not sure if I want to present them publicly, but it didn't happen. There was a large question of when is a lot sold. Is it the first time or after somebody defaults on a contracted property? Is that lot then considered as sold, or is it now for sale all over again? There's any number of messes that occurred. We got pretty close, but part of the problem is their covenants don't match our covenants. From what we gathered, a lot of the people's contracts didn't match anybody else's contracts. And which is the reason you gentlemen developed a planning and zoning guide in 2003. That's the last one I was able to find a copy
Long before our term.
Yeah, it's been, oh, I'm not blaming you, sir. Not in the least. I do remember some of these meetings and some of these names. Essentially, though, what we did is we did contact a lawyer. We had bylaws. We tried to get an election going kind of thing. But realistically, it's still a non-event. We have no authority to even build a home owners without people agreeing to have one. And they're not gonna do that, and I'm not gonna do that. Absolutely.
Bill, the surveyor, Bill Purcell, he's behind, he's got some information. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, originally that whole tract was 303 acres. When Tillman Smith bought it, he farmed it, then he developed Sunridge Acres. He was sold, he and his wife got a divorce, half of it was sold to Leonard White, who developed Briarwood. Then he turned, and there was a homeowners association then.
In Briarwood?
Not in Briarwood, in Sunridge Acres.
No, I don't agree with you.
No, there was, and where the little circle is up there, it used to be a shelter house, I don't know where it's still there or not.
Yes.
And that was common ground.
Well.
And there was a lawsuit.
There was a lawsuit.
There was a lawsuit. And Judge Nardi, and I didn't sit in on the lawsuit, so I don't know cause and effect, disbanded the homeowners association and titled that to a certain individual.
Yeah.
But there was a homeowners association there at one time.
Well, I would agree that there was some, we had a bank account, we had a tax ID.
When a lot sold, you paid $100 every time the property sold. And then there was $10 a month, every homeowner paid in to maintain the roads. And it worked until something happened and there was this lawsuit, and I don't know the particulars of why it was struck down. But, and the Green Acres, which is the farther part of it, Green Valley, was developed by Edward Porter.
Hidden Valley.
Yes, Hidden Valley, that's correct. And, but the original part was Sunset Acres, was Tillman.
I think this is a BZA.
Leonard took a road off their road, which I would have never allowed to happen.
Nobody asked me, sir. But at that time, he owned that property.
Yeah, and one of the problems was, you know, they're using, whenever that was a private road paid for by the homeowners, then all of a sudden the people in Briarwood who were using that road weren't paying into it. You know, because they would come out on Ridgeline and then come out, but that's kind of the history of it.
And Ridgeline still shows that it's a private road, not a county-owned road. Jim,
I don't see where it shows that.
At this time, Jim, I'm gonna ask legal advice. This seems to be a BZA and a planning commission issue before it ever gets to us. These things need to be.
It has been adopted. I mean, I'll look and I'll get with Greg, but I mean, as of this moment, at least whether it is or not, I mean, there's been a consensus that it's a private road. I mean, that's what everyone was operating on. So, but yes, I'll work with planning and building, I'll get with highway department, and I'll definitely read all the documents that I just received this morning, and then probably give you a better answer.
If we get some clarification on this,
Yes, sir.
we can move forward.
I'd love a legal reference to what a private road is. Currently, I feel like if I read that zoning, the zoning plan that we have in place right now, I feel like you gentlemen are in violation on 1.2 A, B, C, E, F, and G, because we haven't been able to address this. And I'm not blaming you or the people sitting up there. This has been a problem that's been going on for
Sure.
years. It's affecting property value, it affects any number of things. I believe that we've been paying taxes on roads personally that we're not getting. So that's, yeah, I'll do whatever you ask. I just won't sign anything that says that's my road, because it's not.
How about we get into the legal side of things and get it cleaned up, see what we can find out, then we get back with you and.
Yeah, I gave you quite a bit of that.
There's no way we can go through it here in 10 minutes.
There's a lot there, and I understand that. Beyond that, I'll put the packet up on Facebook when I get sure there'll be some public comments.
Sure.
Commissioners, I will say in this whole area, Ridgeline Road is the only road that I believe you could ever get to conform to county road.
I would agree.
That's the reason I say that I think a plan could be worked with the other ones.
I know in the past on those type of road situations, they had to be brought up to county standard by the residents. So until we can verify the situation with this road, once we get that done, then we can move forward.
That's fine, sir. I guess the only thing I'd point out is there's very few of us that actually own Ridgeline Road frontage.
Frontage. And it's stuff we all need to find out and learn, and
That's fine.
we're up here to help you any way we can.
It's taken me 25 or 30 years to figure it out.
Sure.
You're welcome to take your time.
Well, hopefully it won't take another 25.
Yeah. All right, appreciate
All
your
right.
time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Hey, Greg, thank you. Treasurer.
I just wanted to give an update on the settlement and collections. So I thought I'd take a few minutes to tell you about our spring collection this year.
Sure.
Last year, in 2021, 9.3 million was billed for spring. This year, 9.4 million. As of Friday, April 29th, we had collected right over $4.9 million, so about 52% of our spring billing. We have 6 days remaining through May 10th. We'll be processing mail, and that usually takes 5 to 7 days by the time it all comes in, because we accept postmark, which means we have about 2 weeks of processing mail remaining. And leading up to the May 10th, this week is going to probably be very, very busy. We have walk-ins, we have mail payments, we have large institutional and mortgage payments that will be coming in, and electronic payments. And our target date for settlement is May 19th. Hopefully we can stay with that, assuming that all the postmarked mail that we do receive, we can get in by the 17th, because then that will leave us 2 days for myself and Shelley and Nicole from the auditor's office to come to a final agreement for our settlement. And Shelley will also need to start the surplus process before we can do settlement. So it's gonna be a very, very tight schedule, but we hope to stay with it. We hope that we don't have to push the date back. But assuming that the settlement can be done on May 19th, the disbursement will be followed by the auditor's timetable. So we are working hard. I was in this weekend working through our lunch hours. We're coming in early to try to get everything done so we can get our May 19th date for settlement for the county.
I understand you got a new employee that started this today too, to help you out as well.
Yes, we do. Stephanie's starting today. And
Excellent.
she has experience in this and has worked in the LAO system before. So
What is the percentage of total collection?
right now it's about 52%.
But at the 10th, I know not everybody's paying. Is it 95%, 98%?
That people that we're collecting,
Mm-hmm.
the status that we've been running is anywhere from 99 to 101% is what we collect. Sometimes we actually collect more.
It's better not figured it.
Because people pay for their fall. So it's anywhere from 99 to 101% is usually what we do.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, any other elected officials, department heads?
I have one more thing, Commissioners, I'm sorry. I had discussed this with Commissioner Burton, to the other two commissioners, but, due to the amount of employees I have, I think, just because of prep time, if we go to a, 4 10-hour work week, I think it would be a benefit right now, if it would give us more work hours in a day. And, I wouldn't have those extra hours trying to shuffle everybody in and out on Friday. And therefore, I think we'll also, have a little fuel savings too. So I would like to go to a, 4 10-hour work week at the garage, effective immediately. And then on the weeks that we have a holiday, I've spoken with Sheila. I guess we'll have to, for the guys to get paid, we'll have to go to, just work 4 8s like we normally would in order for the holiday pay to fit. Is that something the commissioners can approve of?
I'm definitely in favor of it. I think it will save us some fuel. I think it gives us the longer hours to work. I've checked with other local counties that are doing the exact same thing. So I'm in favor of it. I would like to see it implemented, and we come up with some kind of dates as far as, are we going to initiate that? And I'd like to see it continue, not just this year, but let's say if we do it from April 1st to October 31st, some type of time frame, and then obviously in the winter go back to the normal 8-hour schedule. Is that something kind of like you were thinking? I mean, in the wintertime, obviously, we're gonna do 5 days because of snow.
I would say April 1st to November 1st.
Do you gentlemen have any?
And Sheila does the weeks that we have holidays to just go into the 8 hours work.
You can do the 8 hours, or they could work an extra half hour those 4 days and make up their 2-hour difference.
Yeah, that would be up to you, basically.
Well, if they could work the extra half hour of the day, they would prefer that.
The weeks that those holidays hit like that, that's.
Okay, very good. Then, we'll start that this coming pay cycle.
Does that have any issues with our policies, Jim, to make this change?
I mean, it's a terrible answer. I guess I don't know. I didn't know this, I didn't know it was coming.
Do you want to do some research on it before we?
I feel like everyone wants to do it, but I mean, I guess my first question would be, does that cause any issues, payroll? I mean, to immediately go to?
I believe council and our last wage session and stuff, they were talking about just going and possibly changing it just to pay the holidays out every payroll, not do this quarterly, and that was something that was discussed in the last wage thing. But until then, as long as when they turn their payroll in, that they, document and their hours that shows that extra half hour, either way, they're still working.
That would be my only kind of question.
Would you want them to have their own separate policy at the highway?
There's multiple, the normal thing what happens when you're on a 410 is you work your 3 days, then the holiday, I'm just gonna make the holiday happens on a Wednesday, so you work 10, 10, 10, 8. So you have a 38-hour pay. I mean, because they have the day off and they're only getting 8 hours, and that I believe is consistent with all the departments. It's supposed to be 8 hours. If you're saying you're going to let them work 10 and a half, I don't know that the other departments have adopted anything like that. I guess that would be the only concern I would have as far as other departments saying, we want now to rearrange.
Well, then I think we need to table it, commissioners, because, quite frankly, and I understand, I heard the sheriff's department talk about it, but, as strapped as our employees are, to ask them to lose a few hours off of their paycheck for a day, just isn't feasible. So we'll just, not do this until there's a solution.
Well, I think, I guess, look, I will absolutely agree that council talked about it. I didn't know if there's been an actual approval of the council, to do that, and then that would be for every department. So it's not, I don't want to be like, I'm not trying to say they can't do it and you guys can make any decision, but I think there's a duty to say, well, but is everyone now in the county that's on a 410 is going to have this option to work extra hours, and I don't know if that's true or not.
really quick. The difference is though, you brought up the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department still works their 40 hours that week, and that 8-hour holiday pay is an additional 8 hours at straight pay. Where the highway, if I'm correct, is wanting to make up the difference to still have the holiday off, not work the holiday and then accrue an additional flat 8 hours, because they fall under the same rules as the courthouse.
Yes.
So to me, what he's presenting makes sense, because what myself, sheriff's department, jail and EMS, it's different because
You're working
we
it.
still work it, and then our reimbursement for working it is flat 8 hours of pay at this moment, and in addition.
I don't have any, but the last council meeting led to a 30-minute area of grievance.
And I understand
I
that.
didn't get this and I didn't get that, and I'm not saying that those arguments weren't legitimate. I guess what I'm saying, the fact is, not knowing, respect that this was coming, I don't have a real good off the cuff. If we're wanting to have them work 10 and a half, it still would be under 40, it wouldn't go over overtime.
Right.
It just, I guess probably the thing that struck me more just from my position, this was gonna be effective today, and I don't know if everything is completely ironed out exactly how you would want it to be. We definitely could have this ready in 2 weeks, I mean, if that's not too far down the road that way. Because if I understand you, Greg, you want your employees that are working 40 hours, you want them to keep working 40 hours.
Correct.
But you want them on a 4-10, but on a holiday week, it would actually be a 3, 10 and a half, and an 8. And none of that's impossible.
And Jim, my apologies, but I guess you were left out of the loop, but I had discussed
Sure,
this, so.
no, that's no problem at all. It's just when being asked, I can't say exactly like, well, I think everything's completely ironed out, but definitely there would be time if we just delayed this for 2 weeks. And there would be a council meeting also in between that time, probably to take a look at the general area of holiday.
Correct, yeah, bring it, and Polly being here,
I was gonna say that, I mean, if you could bring that to the council, since it is a pay issue, I mean, would that be a council decision, and then you could.
it doesn't change their pay in any way, it just is the way the hours are put together. But yeah, you know.
We did discuss it at the wage committee, but it's not, I mean, it's not come before the council, so nothing's been decided, but if you could, Greg, if you could be put on the, I mean,
I'll just withdraw it right now, commissioners, and I'll be back with you on it.
I mean, if you could
Not a
present that to
problem.
the council, and then we could discuss it, maybe we can get an absolute.
Yeah, let's try to move forward with it with the council presentation, and
My
then
request.
Jim can put it together. But I would like to get it together before the end of the month.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll try.
thank you. All right, any other elected officials? Yes, Kathleen?
Yes, I have a question about the new drug policy. And I guess it stems from the health department's decision today. If they're, first, let me step back. If it states in the policy that from April 14th moving forward, employees will have to be drug tested before an offer of employment can be issued. What if we had offers of employment issued prior to that policy, but they're not starting until after the policy? Because I have one that offer of employment was issued 1st of April, but she's not starting until May 16th.
That's gonna be a legal question.
She really should be tested, I mean, and I think that would benefit everyone. So, yeah, so between now and that period of time, just go down there and have a test.
So my other follow-up with this, and I'm sure I'm not the only department head, but I think you might be one of the few left, is if this is now going to be a fee, who's gonna be covering that fee? Is it gonna be the responsibility of me, the department? Because that's not something that's been approved through my budget, and I don't know how much it does cost the health department to run a one-off drug test, or is that something that's gonna be picked up by commissioner's budget?
Again, there's funds that the health department is at a minimal cost. There's a few options in the commissioner's budget to possibly pay it out of. we didn't have an audit this year, so there's $30,000 there or something, but because they're gonna be at a minimal cost, the commissioners could consider using their budget funds that are already budgeted to pay, to offset them.
Cause I was gonna say, if we push it to departments, with budget hearings coming, per statute, I can't pay for pre-employment screenings of drug tests, mental health, or anything out of my state funds.
These are
So-
roughly $15 is how it was put out.
Right.
So there would be either, an easy option would be just out of the commissioner's budget, making a transfer of one line, or if the council would like to appropriate a specific area, but there would be no reason to put this back to the departments, especially for the $15 for maybe the 2 or 3 that they might have. So I think she would looked at a couple of options. The one that probably makes the best sense is just make it a commissioner line item, making a transfer. There would be no, you wouldn't even have to do an appropriation.
Right.
And then it would just become.
And there's funds there to finish out this year, no problem. Come budget time, maybe we'll put an additional line in there for drug testing only in the commissioner's budget. That way it has its own separate fund line, and it'll amount to little of no money, but that way it's a separate line.
Yeah, Sheila, I don't know what's talk, but it's talking about $15 for the screen. What if it's dirty? Is that a higher charge to the county?
A test is a test.
I mean, well, no, when they do probation, there was different fees, right, Donna?
Yes, and here's your other kind of dilemma too. Years ago, we were approached to do it because we do it in our office anyway. But we decided we did not want the confidentiality issues. One, if it's a new employee, any kind of medication that they're on, that's really not our business what they're on. And then if it's during the time that there's something comes up, we did not want to know what another department's issues are. So confidentiality is another problem, kind of.
Don't the HIPAA laws fall into effect on that? I mean, the health department keeps that information, it can't be released.
As well as into the personnel files, but it's my understanding that if they come back positive, then there's no job.
They're not employed.
And I'm thinking that it's more like with the commissioners, if there's something going on, you know, in the department, the commissioner then probably the department head needs to know that, but I don't know if any other person.
It'll stay within the health department.
Yeah, so that was the problem years ago when they came to us and asked us to do the urine screens. We just wanted to have a separate account for somebody else to have, so we would never even see it, so we would, if something was ever said, it wasn't us because we did not have that information.
So when we send someone so I can just tell her to stop by the health department whenever to get tested prior to her starting date of May 16th. And then will I get a notification from the health department saying they're hireable or they're not hireable? Because
That's something we'll have to work on because we just initiated that at the health department today.
Yeah.
And also we'll have to find out about how long that test takes.
how long it takes.
Yes,
Yeah.
because if an employee goes in there today, I don't think they're gonna be ready to be hired tomorrow until those results come back.
It usually takes us at least a week, if not longer.
I can't speak for the health department, but what we have been told is that they are 15, 20-minute test results. And I'm not sure if they would do them on the normal nurses' schedule days, which used to only be Tuesdays and Fridays. So we do need to try to get an exact what days the test can be done on, what is the timeline, obviously the privacy, do we want to draw up something? Like further, I mean, I know there's the HIPAA privacy laws over there, but does there need to be an extra piece of paper that when notification is given by the nurse over there that does it need to go in the personnel file? We don't have a personnel file on them, obviously, to begin with. If it's an existing employee and they're requested to be tested, then yes, it probably would have to go in the file.
Yeah, a new hire would either be hireable or not hireable, that's simple.
And your your like first initial screen, the confirmation screen can sometimes say yes or no too. So your presumptive 20-minute thing doesn't always confirm out. So we always have to confirm out.
And we're gonna have to get some more information from the health department, exactly what they're talking about. Jim, how would you think we should proceed with that?
New hires need to be drug tested, it's as simple as that, so then the other part's the technical as far as how the health department is conducting the test. So if they do a preliminary test and if it comes back negative, I don't know, perhaps at that point they just say that they're hireable. If it comes back positive, the normal standard is then to do a confirmation, on that particular test. I don't know what that expense is from there. They just, they had the capability and the ability to do this. As far as drawing up a personnel that the new hire can be released only to the hiring manager, that's not a problem at all. There's another area about the reasonable suspicion. Well, the department manager would be sending someone down there for reasonable suspicion, so that would also then go back. The result of that test would be to the department head, the elected official, whoever the supervisor is. But if you want to put a policy for in 2 weeks, just simply saying that the chain of custody is stored the test could not be released except to the hiring manager, that's fine.
I think we should do that, and I also would like to get with Christine, and I'll do that today, to send out information to all of you folks as far as the test, the time, if there's a retest, whatever is involved in the health department, so everybody's all on the same playing field. Does that help, Diane?
Because I'm now in a time crunch, because if it's gonna take, not that I'm anticipating a positive test coming back and needing confirmation, but if I'm hiring her on the 16th and it can take a week to get a test back, plus then however long it's gonna take to get paperwork done, do you get what I'm saying? Because I'm planning on starting her the day you guys have your evening meeting, and if policies and everything aren't even approved until after that, because I need her to start on the 16th. So, and it's a.
Just take your test, I mean,
Are we just gonna guinea pig her and just send her and see how it turns out?
Well, we've got another guinea pig in the treasurer's office,
Yeah.
so they can go as a pair.
Okay.
She's down there right now, we're getting trained.
When do we implement this
I
policy?
want to be real clear, there's been a drug testing policy for years, if I recall correctly on there. The insurance, we'll talk about as far as the reason they're keeping the rates, but no, I didn't know that they were going to approve it today, but I mean, all new hires should be drug tested. Is there a question about like them not going to get the test, or just concerned about if it tests positive? Is that the main question?
No, because I'm not worried about any of my people testing positive. It's just the tested, because this is the first policy I'm aware of that I've read that said any new hire has to be tested prior to offer of employment being made. So just the time of me already giving her an offer of employment versus her starting date, the policy came out in between those. So that's where my question comes into play of, like, because the technicalities haven't been worked out before the policy came out. So that's where the questions are coming from.
Right. But the health department, at least what they've said, that they can do a test within 15 minutes and it would be better. So I guess if they can't, then I think that would change. But the possibility is that the health department can say, send them down, we can have a test for you in 15 minutes. That probably would solve all of that. Now, if it's not, then yes, then everything else would have to be addressed.
So if it's okay with you guys, I'll get a hold of Christine today and see if I can get my new hire schedule worked with them to get an appointment, something worked out for her to come get tested before, hopefully this week, so.
And same with you, Diane, if you can get that employee in, she's already here, let's get her scheduled for a test. If it comes back negative.
We took a test earlier.
You already have you got results?
Not that I know of.
Okay, but she went to the health department earlier this morning.
Yeah.
Then we're just waiting on the results to come back, but she can continue to work until that, we're not gonna tell her to go home. That wouldn't be right.
Here's what the health department, you gotta think, if the person can prove that they're on medication, that's gonna have them come out
Sure.
positive. You don't have to go on and
Sure.
confirm that. But you've gotta prove that you're actually legit.
You have a prescription for whatever it is that comes in, yep.
So do I just reach out to them and say?
They should contact you when that information comes back.
Are you gonna have them direct bill to the county?
It's gonna go to the county, it's not gonna go to the departments, we've already established that.
So the health department will
Yep.
claims in? Okay.
And I'll make that call to verify that they know over there that no department's getting a $15 bill, that it comes to the auditor's office to be paid out of commissioner's budget. All right, Madam Auditor.
It's my understanding they can buy X amount of tests for a certain dollar amount. It would be the health department giving us the bill for that. There will not be an additional charge above that for the results or anything. It's just what they have to pay for the test. So if we could get a motion to let me transfer 250, I don't see it being any more than that the rest of this year out of one of your line items, and we'll make it a specific line item, then we can pay the bill when she gives it to us.
Yeah, I'll make that motion that we, let Sheila move money, up to $300, how's that, even amount? For, the health department drug test kits, to be paid out of commissioner's funds.
I'll like that.
I have a motion by myself, seconded by Dale, all in favor? Aye. I tell you what, might be better, Sheila, is if you want to send out an email to Christine to, do a follow-up email to all the department heads on the procedures and process, time, so on and so forth. That way, I'm not getting that information and sharing it, she can just move it straight on to all the department heads.
And I would assume right now, because they still have the COVID testing going on, that they do have a nurse there every day. So the schedule might vary, so I would definitely always check before you tell somebody to go, but.
All right. Now, Madam Auditor, do you have anything?
Credit card application.
Yes. We have, outside of our policy for credit cards, the maintenance man, Bob and I have spoke to him. Sometimes Spencer Hardware, the local businesses do not have what we need to take care of county maintenance. So we're going to give him authorization to get a Menards card that will have his authority, commissioner's authority, and Sheila Reeves. And the reason it's being that way is in case the new maintenance guy decides 6 months from now he's gone, we still have somebody on this card. We've ran into this problem time and time again with different accounts that the proper people weren't attached to it. And this card will be used by maintenance and maintenance only. You gotta add anything to that, Bob? I know.
Was there a set amount on this?
There is not. We can put a limit to it if you would like, $5,000.
I think I'd like
That's our
to know.
purchase. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and, do I hear a motion to approve the Menards card application for the maintenance department with a $5,000 credit limit?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second? Got a second. Motion by Bob, second by Dale. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay. Sheila, you want to write on that a $5,000 limit? There's a spot there for requesting credit limit.
And I need to write in, it also asks for creditors, so I'll put 3 of our current.
Put 3 of them on there, yeah, Spencer Hardware and Owen Valley Auto Parts, I need to sign that. Any other discussion? None for you, Sheila? Jim?
No, thank you.
Commissioner?
Nothing.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion by Bob, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.